You're listening to KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine.
The opinions and views expressed in this program do not reflect those of KUCI, its management, or the UC Board of Regents. To find out more about this talk show or other talk shows broadcasting on KUCI, log on to our website at kuci.org or check out the latest program guide.
This is Ashton Marcus, and I'm on location at the Electric Lodge for the West Coast premiere of Thinks.
Hi, my name is Ashton Marcus. I'm with KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine, and I'm here with
French Stewart. It is opening weekend of Thinks here at the Rogue Machine, and the air is cleared out a little bit, so it's not quite as thick, and it's been a delightful run, and we're glad that we're up and running and that you could come.
Yeah. Great. Which character do you play?
I play Mickey Dobbs. Mickey Dobbs is a club comic who really he wants his own television show, and he gets caught up in the politics of the times, and basically he loses everything, and it's not just a story about the Constitution and how far it'll stretch. It's also a story about show business and families and love and what they go through.
This is fantastic. This is the best piece of theater I've seen all year.
Oh, thank you.
I actually have to think whether it's the best piece I've ever seen, because again, first of all, the acting was fantastic, and I loved you. Everyone, even the villains just moved me. I felt like I was about to cry in the middle of it.
Aren't they wonderful? We've got a wonderful cast, and it's delightful to be able to work with my wife. We've worked with her as a playwright and me as an actor on Stoneface, but we never acted together, and so this is like a nice summer vacation for us in a way.
I'm just ashamed of how little I know about this, and I know a little bit about the Blacklist. In high school they talked about this, but it's been like 30, 40 years. I don't know anything about this. I don't know about people trying to really hurt their friends. Maybe it was just brutal watching this play.
It is, and it's a good reminder, and that's good, because that's why the show is here, just as a reminder, and it's not dissimilar to what we're going through right now, and we're seeing how far the Constitution will stretch and what people will do for what reason, and so it's good to do it now.
Love the performance. I loved your performance in it. Thank you very much for being on the show.
Thank you. It was a real pleasure. Good to see you always.
Hi, my name is Ashton Marcus. I'm with KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine, and I'm here with...
That's great. And I'm Joe Guilford. I'm the author of Thinks, the play about my parents' struggles with the Blacklist in the 1950s.
I love this piece. I seriously think this is the best piece of theater I've seen all year. I see over 100 pieces. I'm actually the feature columnist for Better Lemons. Every Wednesday, my podcast comes out.
Is that a question?
No. Well, basically, first of all, if my viewers decide to come by and see this piece, what should they expect to see?
This is a story about the 1950s blacklist in New York, the blacklist for radio and television, where actors, because of their political beliefs, were prevented from acting based on their activities for progressive organizations and political activism, and it's based on the lives of my parents, who were actors, and how difficult it was to go through this situation.
I remember once I saw a theater piece about communism, and I said, well, during this period of time, a lot of the Hollywood actors went to Broadway. This was the golden age of Broadway, and Zero Mostel came in. It was a wonderful time, and even now, in Actors' Equity, there is a specifically says there will never be a blacklist. That was a bunch of crap. I mean, basically, it was a terrible time. I made it sound like it was wonderful. No, it wasn't. It was just so dramatic.
It was. Well, actually, you bring up something interesting. My father was prevented from working in film, television, and radio for about 8 years, but it was a time when a character actor like him could go from Broadway show to Broadway show. And in fact, Actors' Equity did pass a no blacklisting provision, and they did, producers could not produce shows where they blacklisted. So there was a haven for actors and theater people and the theater in Broadway.
Yes, but I mean, those actors they had to give up. They had to give up so much. I mean, basically, they had to give up their careers. This might have been the only thing they can do, and basically, they're just scraping by.
Well, Actors Equity didn't govern the film and television and radio. That was SAG and AFTRA at that time, and unfortunately, both SAG and AFTRA were blacklist-friendly unions at that time, and that was really what made it difficult. Is that those unions were pro-blacklisting.
Why is it that so few people know about the blacklist? Is it because, that was a bad time, but no one died? But, I mean, I even remember in high school, looking at my book, they said there was a blacklist in Hollywood. I asked my teacher, what was that about? She had no idea what it was about.
I really don't know how to answer that question. I think it is in the history books, but I think some people confuse the blacklist with McCarthyism. Now, there is an association. Joseph McCarthy, Senator McCarthy, did start a movement known as the Red Scare, where he used this fear of communism as sort of a political weapon to get attention. That blacklist was sort of Washington-based. It had to do with federal civil servants and employees, and also McCarthy was grandstanding for his own notoriety. But the Red Scare moved to Hollywood, and that was the House Un-American Activities Committee, which was a congressional committee chaired by different congressmen. In my play, it's Congressman Francis Walter of Pennsylvania, and he chaired the committee in the early 50s that pursued blacklisting in TV and radio, was inspired by McCarthyism, but in fact was not actually Senator Joseph McCarthy's committee.
I remember in the 1980s, I heard one person once say, Hollywood will do films about anything. There's one film they will never do, and that's about communism, blacklisting. Why did you say that?
Well, they've actually done several films about it. I think first of all, it's difficult to understand. I tried to, in the play I wrote, at least get enough information in there to show the Kafkaesque kind of absurdity, this reign of terror, as it were. False accusation by innuendo. But they made a few. I have to say that the movie Trumbo was actually, I recommend it, although there were many facts in it that it had to take dramatic license for, that it had to squeeze and composite characters together. But I'm glad it was made because it gives a new generation a knowledge of this, and also it's about the heroism of the people who were blacklisted, of course, most notably Dalton Trumbo. So what I'm trying to do with my play Things is just also tell that story. I want people to know that I think my parents and their friends, my parents were Jack and Madeline Guilford, Zero Mostel was a great friend of ours, and all the names that are named in this play were people we knew and people that my parents worked with. I just want them to understand that it was a terrible time and that these people were very heroic, standing up for their ideals of free speech and free political thought, which is what that was about.
I remember I saw one movie about it. Woody Allen was in it and Zero Mostel was in it. But this, again, they were happy. They went through some bad times. This piece actually, I felt like here you left the country because they were killing your family, because you couldn't believe anything, because they were crucifying people, burning people, feeding people to lions. Now you come here and now they're going to feed you to lions again.
It's true. It wasn't as. I don't know why. I guess there may not have been enough death. There may not have been enough tragedy. But people did commit suicide. People did die from the stress of the blacklist. Actor John Garfield was someone who was about to testify, and he had a heart attack and died the day before. And so, though it wasn't in a high volume, the tragedy was rather vague, really. And the fact was that many of these people were considered subversives, legally considered subversives at a time that the country was just so frightened that they were actually blaming actors for being communist infiltrators. It seems absurd now, and perhaps that's why it's not clearly understood, because it is so absurd.
Once again, I love this piece. Plus the actors, I don't know if you were involved in the actors. The actors were fantastic.
Well, Michael Preston, the director, he's the one over there. He got those actors. He's my old friend. Well, you heard our talk in the talkback, and he got these actors, and they're superb. I'm very lucky to have a cast. Also, the Rogue Machine Theater here at the Electric Lodge, doing a terrific show with a very minimum amount of resources, and audiences just seem to be loving it. I'm very, very happy.
Well, I love the show too. Thank you very much for being on my show.
Thank you, buddy. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Ashley Marcus. I'm with KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine, and I'm here with...
Hi, this is Michael Pressman. I just saw the production that I directed of Finks by Joe Guilford here at the Electric Lodge in Venice, California. I am actually the son of a blacklisted director named David Pressman, who was blacklisted in 1952 and didn't work for 12 years in his career. And so this play is about Joe Guilford's parents, Jack Guilford and Madeline Lee Guilford, who were also blacklisted, and it really looks at the whole political period of the McCarthy period and the witch hunt of the communist movement in the 50s in the arts. And I didn't realize how relevant this play is for the audience today, and that's the great thing about this experience, to see the audience react to this play and end up talking about what's going on in the country today.
I know about the blacklist. Obviously, I studied it in college, and obviously, I've done research. I've discovered after I see this play, I know nothing about the blacklist. I know nothing about what they had to sacrifice. They almost treat them like non-humans, where you have to, basically you had to turn on your brother. Yeah. It's like in the old days of the Roman Empire, right, where you had to push your fellow Christian right into the lions.
Right.
And
that's what this was. You know what? There was no middle ground. You either named names, or you were blacklisted, or went to jail. There just was no middle ground.
I love this piece. I thought this was basically the best piece of theater I've seen all year. I basically see about over 100 theater pieces a year.
Wow. Well, I tell you, I think this play is going to have a life. And the subject is so relevant. In addition to wonderfully acted, wonderfully written, not bad directing, Michael Pressman, by the way, but that's irrelevant. The fact is that the subject matter and the experience in that theater is what's going to keep this living.
I remember in high school I asked a question about this. What was the blacklist? Because, I saw in my history book, the teacher knew nothing about it. Right. And basically it's been 10, 20, it's actually been 30 years now, and I'm telling you right now, I know nothing about that period. It's just, I don't know why no one talks about it. Maybe people might be ashamed of it. Maybe they did something and they just try to cover it up, burn any evidence they can.
There's a lot of shame related to this period. A lot of shame. There's no doubt about that.
I loved your choice in casting. What do you look for in your casting?
There's lots of things. I look for the talent of the actor in the audition to be able to take a note, to be able to respond to a suggestion or an idea that I have about a character, and to see the actor do it right in front of me, number one. Number two, I am looking for the marriage between that actor or actress and the character that I'm auditioning them for, to see what the connection is, to see if I can see the character in the play in this actor or actress. So there's two things going on at the same time.
You say that thing, but I spoke to other people in the audience also. They say this is a dream cast. This could go to Broadway. I mean, this was a fantastic job that you did.
Well, I've been hearing that. Here's the thing. Everybody in this cast became completely committed to the subject of the play. And I kept an ensemble together, and we talked about the period, and we talked about the blacklist. And I'm a child of the blacklist, so I would tell personal stories about what happened to me as a child and the names of the people and the relationships. So I made it so personal for them that everybody has embraced it. It's their story now.
Once again, love the casting. As a director, you did a fantastic job. A+. Thank you once again for being on the show.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Ashton Marcus. I'm at KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine, and I'm here with.
I'm Vanessa Stewart, and I'm playing. Natalie Dobbs. She's really Madeline Guilford in real life, but Natalie in the show. So she's very politically active. She is a very big optimist. She really thinks she can change the world if she just tells the truth, and if she fights power with good. She really thinks that they will persevere and somehow change the course of the government, and only to be proven wrong ultimately. But she still, even to the end, believes that everybody will write the course of history, and the Finks will be reprimanded, and that they will persevere, and the powers of good will win. She really does believe it.
I love the performance. I actually think it was the best performance I've seen all year. This play.
Wow.
No, I see like over 100 plays a year.
Wow.
Yeah, you got to understand. First of all, I know about the Blacklist. Everyone knows about the Blacklist.
Of course, yeah.
But until I saw this play, I just did not know anything about it. I mean, I couldn't. How could a person do something like that? But then I was thinking in the play, that's me. I would have done that exact same thing.
It is. It really is. The whole time was a test of people's character and their will and their beliefs, and how do people really stand behind their beliefs, and people at that time, like they were, like Joe Guilford was saying, the writer. These artists had such empathy for people and for each other that they were willing to go to jail for their beliefs, and it's really sort of a message for our time now, how fear can affect just the population and people's lives and careers, and how people can be ruled by fear, and yet these people stood up to the government and stood up for what they believed in. It was amazing.
Yeah. Also, acting was fantastic. Every single character, even the big characters, I just love them. They put their souls into this piece.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of the people in this play, a lot of the actors play several different characters. Tom Fasella, I think, plays 6 different people, 3 of which have to actually testify. The specificity that he finds with each character, I find really inspiring just to watch as a performer. So for me, I got my character is very dynamic, and I don't want to say she was easy to play, but it's so much fun to be able to use the language that Joe Guilford wrote, and to act out the direction from Michael Pressman, whose dad was blacklisted, so he had a lot of history to share with the cast. Yeah.
I also like the chemistry between you and your husband, but again, it's so secondary. You just touched me, basically.
Oh, I really appreciate that. Thanks. I mean, that's if we can as artists move people to empathize with what we're going through, whether you understand the world or agree with our opinions as characters, that's the best gift that we can have as artists. So, thank you. I'm glad that you enjoyed it.
Love your performance. Love this performance. I wish I could see it again.
Oh, you can. Come on back.
Thank you very much for being on the show.
Thank you. Absolutely. Thank you for coming.
Hi, my name is Ashton Marcus. I'm with KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine, and I'm here with
Bruce Nozick. Well, I'm doing my second show with Rogue Machine. I'm involved in Finks. I only do shows that have 5 letters with the 4th letter a K, because the first show I did was Honky, when it was in their other space on the Met. And we opened yesterday, Finks, at the Electric Lodge in Venice. It's a wonderful show about the Blacklist. Please come.
And which character do you play?
I play the character of Fred Lang, a staunch communist who refuses to give names to the committee, and best friend to Mickey, who is played by French Stewart.
This performance was fantastic. I mean, I just can't tell you how moved I was by this thing. It felt like I was back in there and I didn't know what to do. This is basically the best performance I've seen all year.
Wow, thank you so much. That's really, really lovely of you to say. It's interesting because when I'm backstage at the end of the show before the curtain call, there's that montage where You've got some of the characters just sitting in their living room, other characters testifying, and it's a very simple montage, but I tear up every single time before we come up for our curtain call. It moves me so much. It is such a powerfully written play by Joe Guilford, who is the son of Jack Guilford, who was blacklisted back in the 50s, and he wrote this about his parents' experience and with the blacklist, and it's very powerful and very moving, and I'm glad that you had that experience with it.
I remember in high school we actually had a history lesson about the blacklist. It said very little. It said about the Rosenbergs.
Right.
It said there was something going on. I've done research. I've looked it up. Nothing tells that basically what happened there. That basically, I mean, no one got killed, right? So no one got murdered, so it's not that important. But this was such a turning point in history. I just can't describe it.
Yeah, well, people maybe didn't get murdered, but people killed themselves over it. Their careers were ruined. Their lives were ruined. They could never work in their chosen profession again. There are movies now that have come out that are much more touching on that, like Trumbo, and I just watched a movie this week called Good Night and Good Luck about Edward R. Murrow, who exposed a lot of the underbelly of the blacklist. People's lives were ruined. People maybe weren't killed, but they really kind of were, having their livelihood completely taken away from them. Marriages broke up. People killed themselves. It was a horrible, horrible chapter in our history. And unfortunately, what's happening in our political life right now, there's a whiff of similarity and of that kind of ostracizing people for their beliefs. And we got to be careful because, history does repeat itself,
Once again, I love the performance. I thought you were fantastic. I felt like almost crying when something happened to your character.
Thank you.
So thank you very much for being on the show.
My pleasure. Thank you so much.
Hi, my name is Ashton Marcus. I'm with KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine. And I'm here with
Adam Leibowitz Lockhart. Come on down for Finks. We're right next to Abbott Kinney, and it's a great look at an unfortunate time when a lot of artists had to choose their livelihood or their careers.
And which character did you play?
I'm playing Bobby Gerard, who is kind of loosely based on Jerome Robbins, the choreographer and dancer, and looking at his turmoil, trying to decide whether he will name names or stick with his friends.
Yes. If my viewers decide to come by and see this piece, what should they expect to see?
They should expect to see a little singing, a little dancing, some really fun stand-up comedy, but also a really harsh look at whether you go after your career or whether you stand up for what you think is right.
I love this piece. It was fantastic. Basically, I know about the blacklist. Everyone knows about the blacklist. But this really made it real for me, and I was just in shock when I saw this piece.
Oh, God, I'm so glad to hear that. Yeah, I think it really goes on a wild ride because, everybody had such different reactions to it. And it was really tough trying to figure out what to do when the government is coming down on you, when the walls are collapsing around. And it made life really impossible, unfortunately, for a lot of people. So it's a great story to be telling right now.
I was once saw a play about communism, and I said, hey, during the blacklist time, it was a golden age for theater because Zero Mostel, all these great stars came to the theater. We won't have a blacklist because it's right in our equity. The theater equity papers, there would never be a blacklist. That was a bunch of crap. I did not know what I was talking about. Times were terrible back then. It was almost like we weren't in America.
Yeah, it really was, because it was just all fear and all this terror about communism and the Red Scare and coming out of World War II and what it meant to be a patriot and an American. And it was bad in Hollywood with screenwriters and actors getting blacklisted there. And then, New York was even more left-wing and liberal and Jewish. And a lot of those actors got really sucked in down to a really harsh place because of it.
I love your performance too. I felt for every single person. You all touched me. This was the best performance I've seen all year.
Oh, thank you so much. That's so kind of you to say.
Thank you very much for being on the show.
Thank you for coming.
Hi, my name is Ashton Marcus. I'm with KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine, and I'm here with
Daniel Dorr. I am an actor in Los Angeles, originally from Germany. I grew up here, and now I'm co-starring in the show Finks that's being done at Rogue Machine Theater. Play that is very relevant to our current political climate and sort of what's happening in our world today, and it kind of addresses things that happened back in the 50s that are somehow very similar to what's happening today. And it's a show about artists, most importantly artists being confronted with something that they're not necessarily equipped to handle. And please come and see us.
And which characters do you play?
I play Elia Kazan, Stanley is a TV director, and Victor Lynch, who is a special counsel prosecutor in the HUAC hearings.
And what's your take on your favorite characters?
Well, they're all so different. They're equally the villain, the sort of heart, and someone who has been ostracized, a very public figure that's been ostracized. So it's kind of nice to be able to bring all those three colors into the fold.
I was once told in the 80s there will never be a motion picture about the blacklist. Never. Why do you think that?
Well, didn't Trumbo come out a couple years ago? That was a pretty big studio movie with Bryan Cranston. I don't know. Maybe there just isn't an interest, but I certainly don't think that there is any hesitation. It's, I think, about what aspect you're trying to tell, because I'm sure that it brings a lot of, it opens up a lot of wounds, I'm sure, to a certain part of the industry that's still around.
Yeah, correct. I would basically be ashamed of it. Well, I'd think about the time that I maybe did something wrong that time, and I would just be so ashamed that I just would do anything I possibly could to just hide it.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't stand for it, but it's easy to say that now, once you're kind of experiencing it, which I think is something that this play does. It puts you into an experiential place of what would it have been like. It wasn't this black and white thing. It was confusing at the time. We kind of see it now in hindsight with much more clarity, but I think it's easier said than done. But I would hope that had I been in that situation, that I would have made the right decision, not to name names. Yeah.
I loved this play. It was fantastic. I love all the actors. It brought me to another world that I didn't think existed. For a second, I thought I wasn't even in America. Yeah. You know what I mean? I thought I was taken back to a time in which we had no rights, in which you were told by the government to actually do something brutal to your fellow man. That's right. And you just had to do it.
Yeah, you just had to do it. Yeah, depending on which direction that you were kind of, or how vulnerable you were, I guess. What was important? Was it the career? Was it friends? Was it family? What was, it's also the issue of values that I think it brings up. And every person is different in that regard. So, yeah.
Well, I love the performance. It's fantastic. This is the best performance I've seen all year.
Oh, that's so nice to hear. Thank you very much. Thank you for coming and supporting us.
Thank you very much for being on the show.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Ashton Marcus. I'm on KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine. I'm here with...
Hi, I'm Thomas Facella. I'm a member of the cast of Finks here at the Electric Lodge with the Rogue Machine Theater Company. We just opened the show this weekend. We're very excited about it. We've gotten great responses from the audience. 2 sold-out shows, so we're hoping for a great run. Finks is an incredible story that tells the story about the very personal effects of the blacklist in the 1950s. And we found that even though it's a historical piece, it speaks very much to what's happening today, and I'm just happy to be a part of it as an actor.
Great, and which characters did you play?
I play a multitude of characters in the show. Historical characters I play include, Lee J. Cobb, Bud Schulberg, Martin Berkeley, another screenwriter like Bud Schulberg. And so, and a couple of other characters along the way too. So it's fun to kind of switch between them and bring these different personas to life.
You guys are fantastic. I actually think this is the best show I've seen all year.
Oh, that's great to hear.
I see over 100 shows a year. I do like 1,000 interviews.
Incredible.
Yeah, basically, I was just so moved by this because I know about the blacklist.
Yeah.
But after I've seen this place, I realized how little I knew. I didn't know that people were. I mean, they say they were naming each other, but I said they're all doing fine now. They can get another job. No, that's not what happened. I mean, it's like if your best friend stabs you in the back. It's like you heard that one of your friends committed suicide.
Right.
It's like this will never. You'll be scarred for the rest of your life because of this.
This event affected not only the people who were directly in it. It affected their families. It affected their grandchildren. Their children and grandchildren. The ripple effect of the blacklist went on for generations. It still resonates today, and it's just an incredible story that I think affected a very large community, and I'm just happy to be able to bring it to light once again. Yeah.
Finks will be playing at the Electric Lodge from November 10th to December 30th. For more information, go to www.roguemachinetheater.net.